we were having tea in the terrace of that rest house. Suddenly, a staff came running. Is that there's a tiger very very close by to the rest house. We were looking for a tiger and माहौल उससे यही कहीं है.
Hmm.
और सडनली जो है वो एकदम झाड़ी में से मेरे पाँव के नीचे निकल करके आ गया. So
Oh.
it was hardly 10 feet away
Hmm.
and it was looking at me menacingly and there was no way that I could have even pulled up my legs. तो मतलब कई सारी गाड़ियां भी अगल बगल खड़े थे and they were our staff on foot. मतलब पैर मतलब जमीन पर ही वो लोग अगल बगल ही थे वो लोग सारे के सारे. और मैंने घास के अंदर से मैंने देखा कि एक टाइगर के स्ट्राइप्स दिख रहे हैं
Hmm.
एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन द टाइगर जंप्ड ऑन द एलिफेंट. इट जस्ट जंप्ड. And the elephant, it was really brave elephant. It like trumpeted and there was a melee. The
Hmm.
tiger was roaring and the elephant was even roaring. को लगता है कि अगर किसी को मान लीजिए हमने अरेस्ट कर लिया, बंद कर दिया, तो
Hmm.
सामने वाले के रिएक्शन, अरे पेड़ ही तो काटा था.
Hmm.
वैसे एक हिरन ही तो मारा है, ठीक है, हिरन तो ऐसे मिलते, खरगोश ही तो मारा है.
Right.
तो धीरे धीरे as the thinking changes and it is already changed. Or a lot of people think कि it is very dangerous to walk in the forest, but I personally feel that it is pretty safe to walk in the forest because the tiger is watching you, but he will never attack you unless until it is
Oh.
intimidated to an extent that it thinks its existence is being threatened.
From an early age, he aspired to join the Indian Army and successfully cleared the written examination for the SSB on his first attempt. Unfortunately, due to a permanent disqualification related to his eyesight, his dream of becoming an army officer was dashed. But life had other plans for him. His journey eventually led him to the Indian Forest Service, where he excelled, topping the exam and beginning his service in Uttar Pradesh. Among his notable achievements is his remarkable work in the conservation of gharial in the Chambal region. Yet there is more to his story. He is also an accomplished photographer, a talented musician, and a TEDx speaker. Hello and welcome. This is Pallavi, and you are watching Indian Masterminds. Today I am with Indian Forest Services Officer Mr. Sujoy Banerjee, who will share his fascinating experiences in the wilderness. So, first of all, thank you so much, sir, for joining Indian Masterminds. It's really my pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, let's start. So, as I know, you have qualified for Indian Army, but you had to shift your focus due to disqualification or something like that. So, what made you, first choose forestry as a career and then, go choose, then get into Indian Forest Services? Because first you went to the college and studied the subject, and then you came to IFS. So, what's the journey?
I was doing my BSc from Lucknow University. And after completing my graduation, I appeared for the SSP. It's an examination. उसका दो part होते हैं. Uh, One is written. I should speak in English, right?
Yeah, sir, you can mix. That's fine.
So it has basically two parts. One is the written examination, which is a nationwide examination.
Hmm.
And after that, those who qualify the written part, then they get called, and then there's a physical test and interview, and it's a very stringent process to get into the army as a commissioned officer. So
Right.
I cleared that, and it was my ambition, it was my dream to get into the army as a commissioned officer because my father was in the army.
Okay.
So I was lucky I did it in the first go,
Hmm.
but then I got a permanent disqualification because of my eyesight, which was marginally higher than what was permissible at that point of time. I filed an appeal, but eventually uh, I could not succeed. But anyway, I had already completed my graduation and then I did not know what to do. So at that point of time, I was pursuing my MSc in geology, and then I also started looking at doing MBA because हम लोग उस समय ये सोचते थे कि नौकरी लग जाए तो अच्छा रहेगा.
Right.
And MSc in geology did have its own good prospects, but I thought maybe doing an MBA would be a better idea.
Hmm.
So 91 was my very lucky year, and this was the time when I qualified the SSB. And I also then got into subsequently into some good colleges for doing my MBA. But I had great love for forest and wildlife. And I also got into a course called Postgraduate Diploma in Forestry Management
Mhm.
in the Indian Institute of Forest Management in Bhopal. It is a pretty reputed institute and one of its kind in Asia. There's no other institute like that for which is offering course in forestry management. So I did my postgraduate diploma in forestry management, and that's how my journey with the forest and wildlife began.
Right.
IFS came a little later.
Hmm.
And as I said earlier, 91 was my, very good year, a very lucky year. So I had parallelly applied for a job as Assistant Central Intelligence Officer in the Intelligence Bureau.
Oh.
So there was a written examination, and out of 163 candidates, they chose, I think, three or four people, and I was lucky to have qualified as one of them. At
Hmm.
that point of time, I had a choice to join as an SCIO in the Intelligence Bureau or
Hmm.
to join the Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal, as
Hmm.
a student of postgraduate diploma in forestry management. I chose to go with the latter, and that's how my journey
That's
with forest
interesting
management.
because I want to ask you now that you were kind of you were aspiring to be in defense. तो थोड़ा सा like consolation ही सही, but I भी would have been that consolation for you. But you said कि forest and wildlife, so you were always attached. So I want to know that story, like why? Because not very people, especially like, you are from West Bengal or
No, no,
you
I am from Lucknow. I belong to Lucknow.
Lucknow.
I'm
So
born
then
and brought up in Lucknow.
so I want to know ki, how did this love for wildlife generated in you, and also why did you give importance to IIFM than going to IB?
Uh, One is that it isn't like in general a love for forest or wildlife. It is in general a love with animals. So I am very fond of dogs and
Okay.
cats and these kind of things. And I always thought that doing a program which is a professional program which will later earn me a job would also help me, go and visit a lot of places
Mhm.
in especially forest areas. I have a love which I have developed. हम बचपन से ही जंगलों में जाते रहे हैं. So that was one part, and I did not join IB because I wanted to do something more in life, something more than a job, settle down at a
Hmm.
very early age into a job. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to study more. I wanted to learn more.
Hmm.
So after I joined IFM and completed my postgraduate diploma in forestry management, I got a campus selection into Ballarpur Industries Limited,
Hmm.
and they had a large paper mill in Jagadhar. That place is called Yamuna Nagar
Hmm.
in Haryana. So I joined there, and I was looking after eucalyptus plantation, captive eucalyptus plantations
Hmm.
that build was undertaking. They were growing their own raw material, that is eucalyptus at that point of time.
Okay.
तो सबसे पहला सवाल आपने पूछा था कि why IFM?
Hmm.
And as I said, I got into some other very good colleges, possibly having a better standing than IFM. The simple reason is that the course was new.
Hmm.
When I joined, ours was the fourth batch. IFM was a new institute, and
Hmm.
this field was very new. And I always knew environment and forest is an upcoming field.
Hmm.
So, and as I told you, my love for forest and wildlife, so I chose to go to IFM. That is one part. So after completing my postgraduate diploma from there, I got job in Ballarpur Industries Limited,
Hmm.
and after doing 1 year of work there, I got the lecturership in IFM Bhopal itself.
Hmm. Yes.
So I wanted to learn, I want to study more, and therefore I joined IFM as a lecturer, my own alma
College.
mater, as a yeah, as a faculty.
Just in
लेकिन
one
वहाँ
year,
पर
you were a student, and just after one year only, you
yeah,
came back as a lecturer. Oh, that is
exactly.
great, and that is interesting also. So yeah.
So, but after working there for a year or two, I understood that if you wanted to make a real difference and
Hmm.
wanted to contribute, then you really have to look at the services. And that is when I appeared for the Indian Forest Service for the first time. I till that point of time, I did not have
Any
a
plans?
bureaucracy job in my mind.
Right.
So, but I appeared for Indian Forest Service, and I got the first place in that
Yes, I was
IFS
coming
examination.
to that. Like it was your first attempt, and you got your first, mother, you got first position, and that time
Exactly.
you were working also in IFF,
यस
II.
यस आई वाज वर्किंग, हमने कोई कोचिंग नहीं करी
Hmm.
एंड हमने भोपाल में रह करके ही पढ़ाई करी. सो
Okay. तो इट वाज इजी, लाइक मुझे जितना पता है कि द प्रिल उस समय भी आई गेस प्रीलिम्स मस्ट बी हार्डर फॉर फॉरेस्ट सर्विसेज, लाइक राइट नाउ तो दे रिक्वायर मोर मार्क्स टू क्वालिफाई फॉर IFS, ऑल्दो देयर मेंस एंड इंटरव्यू इज डिफरेंट बट प्रीलिम्स इज सेम, लाइक दे हैव
see, a
द.
lot of people say that you know it is very hard work and luck is very, it plays a very less role. But I think luck has a very very significant role in at least in my case I would say that. As
राइट.
I said before, हम कोई कोचिंग नहीं कर रहे थे.
हम्म.
और द सेकेंड थिंग इज कि आई वाज टीचिंग फॉरेस्ट्री.
हम्म.
तो हमारे कंसेप्ट्स बहुत अच्छे हो गए थे एक तो. So forestry had become suddenly very easy, and
हम्म.
geology was a subject which I liked very much. And thankfully, I hadn't forgotten the concepts of geology. So geology was my second subject then. तब
हम्म.
वहाँ पर दो subjects होते थे. So
हम्म. अभी तो
I
सर दे हैव टू ऑप्शंस इन
yeah,
फॉरेस्ट.
okay. उस समय हम लोग के दो सब्जेक्ट होते थे, बाकी जीएस होता था.
हम्म.
और लेकिन हम मतलब आई डिड वेरी वेल इन माय इंटरव्यू. आई स्कोर्ड वेरी हाई इन द इंटरव्यू, and
हम्म.
that is how I actually jumped to first place. I
ओके.
wasn't the first in the written part, but yeah.
Although, matlab, it's clear, it's evident actually कि you were for, matlab, you were always up for wildlife and forest, but still, since you got first rank in Indian Forest Services officer, I want to ask you, did you ever thought of giving civil services or no?
No, no,
No, never.
I no, I did not think of actually appearing for it. I also got engaged in the same year, and my wife, she was actually like, saying again and again.
Hmm.
And uh, that is again a very major factor that why I appeared for IFS. I will not be doing justice if I do not admit, is I wanted to marry my wife. She wasn't my wife then,
Yeah.
and her family wasn't
Ready?
as open.
Oh.
So I appeared at least, ठीक है कुछ अच्छे बन जाएंगे तो हमारी शादी हो जाएगी टाइप.
What was
So
she
eventually,
doing? Is she a
sorry.
house or she is a housewife right now or she's also
No,
into some?
she did her PhD from FMS Delhi. She's basically from psychology background,
Okay.
and she was also a faculty in IFM Bhopal. We
Hmm.
joined as faculty almost at the same time.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
continued being a faculty till I think 2021, but now she's a homemaker.
Okay.
So
Great.
as of now, yeah.
Since you have mentioned your wife, and with after so many years in wildlife and conservation, you must have had many encounters with many wildlife और बहुत
Yes, yes, yes.
हुए होंगे, but there is one incident you were saying, talking about it on some another platform, but I want to hear it for myself, and little elaborated one. So that time you were in Dudhwa and some
Uh,
tiger was spotted, and you said कि you went inside to to take your camera, and then your wife with other staff also left to watch the tiger. So is it true?
uh,
What was it?
yes, yes. Uh, this was like the year 2003, and we bought a vehicle, a four wheeler. So
Hmm.
हमने शाम को गाड़ी की डिलीवरी ली, and so the best thing that we could do is to go to Dudhwa. So
Okay.
next day we went to Dudhwa. So we were in a rest house, and my batchmate, Mr. P.P. Singh, he
Hmm.
was the deputy director of Dudhwa then. So he had come there to meet us, and we were having tea in the terrace of that rest house. Suddenly a staff came running, is that there's a tiger very, very close by to the rest house. So everybody, they got up. चाय छोड़ करके सब लोग ये पीपी सिंह की गाड़ी में बैठ गए.
Hmm.
तो माय वाइफ आल्सो, शी
Right.
वेंट डाउन. आई वेंट टू गेट माय कैमरा,
हाँ.
एंड आई सॉ कि अच्छा वो गाड़ी थोड़ा दूर पर, मे बी 300-400 मीटर्स दूर पे खड़ी है.
Hmm.
तो आई न्यू दे वर वेटिंग फॉर मी. सो
हाँ.
आई टुक माय ओन प्राइवेट व्हीकल. उसको हम ले गए इनके गाड़ी के पास तक जहाँ पे वो गाड़ी खड़ी थी. और
Hmm.
उसके बाद हम गाड़ी से उतरे, और देन आई मेड श्योर कि हमारी गाड़ी लॉक्ड है कि नहीं. नई
Hmm.
गाड़ी है एकदम ब्रांड न्यू, कहीं जंगल में से चोरी हो जाए. सो एक्चुअली वेंट अराउंड चेकिंग ऑल द डोर्स, एंड देन आई कैजुअली वॉक टुवर्ड्स द गाड़ी.
Hmm.
इट वाज अ रोपला टॉप जिप्सी, मतलब हार्ड टॉप जिप्सी। तो पीछे का दरवाजा खुला, somebody पुल्ड में। क्या हुआ, वो बगल में ही टाइगर पे बैठा हुआ है, उसकी स्मेल आ रही है। तो
Okay.
दैट वाज अ क्लोज एनकाउंटर, बट आई हैव हैड like other encounters also.
So
So
anyone you remember vividly?
I was working in WWF then, and I we had gone to Ghana.
Hmm.
We were having some meeting, so I was taking around, and I was on an elephant alone. So if you have sat on an elephant, so
Hmm.
what you do is you sit on that. There is a hod. It's called a hod in Hindi. I don't know what to say in English, but
Hmm.
it is basically an inverted charpai,
Hmm.
and there is a rod which is holding your legs. So, like once you sit there, they
Hmm.
put a rod over your thighs, which goes from one leg to other leg, and then you're kind of fixed there. You can't move unless until that rod is removed. So
Hmm.
it is basically so that tourists don't fall down. So we were looking for a tiger, and
You
there
were
was a
tracking
tiger.
the tiger for
Yeah, yeah, just
capturing or something. Yeah.
no, 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 capturing नहीं, ऐसे उसकी फोटो खींचने के लिए I was sitting with a huge lens,
Okay.
with the camera. तो एंड माहौल उससे उससे यही कहीं है, यही कहीं है।
Hmm.
और सडनली जो है वो एकदम झाड़ी में से मेरे पाँव के नीचे निकल करके आ गया। तो
Oh.
इट वॉज हार्डली 10 फीट अवे,
Hmm.
एंड इट वॉज लुकिंग एट मी menacingly, and there was no way that I could have even pulled up my legs.
Hmm.
So I clicked the picture, and that if you want I can share it with you. You
Yeah,
want
I
to,
would
then
like
you can
to.
see it's really angry. But
Oh.
thankfully it did not jump, and the elephant also was pretty restless.
Hmm.
So the it moved kind of away and like out of danger. So that is how
So
nothing happened.
the tiger was
And
might be so close to the elephant. So elephant, how did he react? The elephant.
elephant, the elephants, they are pretty trained. They don't get alarmed per se.
Okay.
They become a little edgy, they start shaking, moving, but then they don't get alarmed and start running away, nothing like that.
They are, I
And then
we.
one more, the closest encounter I would say, or the most deadly encounter that I had with the tiger was that I was holding the charge attempt of Dudhwa National Parks Director, Dudhwa Tiger Reserve Director. I was posted as CCF Wildlife in Gonda those days, so the
Hmm.
regular director had gone on leave and I had charge. So there was a tiger who actually walked into a wire snare. ये गले में फंदा होता है ना, उससे जानवर पकड़ लेते हैं। तो इफ
Hmm.
यू पुल वो टाइट हो जाता है, तो छोटे जंगली जानवर उसमें से, गांव वाले अक्सर उसको कॉल इट अ वायर स्नेयर, वायर ट्रैप। तो टाइगर जो है वो ट्रैप में फंस गया। तो उसने जब जोर से खींचा तो ऑब्वियसली ट्रैप टूट गया। टाइगर इज वेरी पावरफुल फॉर अ थिन क्लच वायर। सो लेकिन वो जो है वो, क्योंकि वो फंदा टाइट था और वो गर्दन के मूवमेंट से वहां पर घाव हो रहा था, उसको मतलब ये था कि ट्रैंकुलाइज करना ही करना है किसी भी हालत में, और काफी दिन से कोशिश कर नहीं हो पा रहा था।
Hmm.
एक बार एज अ मैटर ऑफ लक शाम के तरफ उसको मतलब ट्रैंकुलाइज तो कर लिया, एक एक डार्ट तो लग गया,
Hmm.
लेकिन उसके बाद फिर जो है वो उसको वो काइंड ऑफ बेहोश नहीं हो रहा था, तो उसको सेकेंड डोज देना था। तो हम एक हाथी के ऊपर थे, और बाकी द टाइगर इधर जस्ट हमारे सामने ही था, और हमारे जस्ट राइट साइड में एक और हाथी पर हमारा जो ट्रैंक्विलाइजिंग टीम था वो उसको ट्रैंक्विलाइज करने की कोशिश कर रहा था। एंड वी न्यू कि वहां पे झाड़ी के आस पास कहीं पर है, और मतलब कई सारी गाड़ियां भी अगल बगल खड़े थे, एंड देवर आवर स्टाफ ऑन फुट, द पैर मतलब जमीन पर ही वो लोग अगल बगल ही थे वो लोग सारे के सारे। और मैंने घास के अंदर से मैंने देखा कि एक टाइगर के स्ट्राइप्स दिख रहे हैं,
Hmm.
एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन द टाइगर जंप्ड ऑन द एलिफेंट। इट जस्ट जंप्ड, and the elephant, it was really brave elephant. It like trumpeted, and there was a melee. The
Hmm.
tiger was roaring and the elephant was even roaring, higher, and they were like moving towards each other, and
Right.
there was this mahout like shouting at the top of his white voice, trying
Hmm.
to control the elephant. He wo matlab already tiger is half tranquilized, so the elephant might kill it, no.
Hmm.
Elephant is not afraid. It is also like charging like anything, a female elephant.
Hmm.
So anyway, but thankfully, the tiger escaped after some time, and we gave up the operation because it was getting dark.
Hmm.
But there were people on foot, and if the when the elephant was moving back, some people could have been trampled, or like I could have fallen because
Hmm.
I wasn't holding it properly.
Right.
And the tiger could have attacked someone who's falling on the way, but thankfully everything went off well.
Mhm.
Nobody hurt, no injuries,
But
so
you were
all
harmed.
fine.
Yeah. But since it was already hit by one dart, मतलब I have talked to many officers about such incidents. तो कई बार होता है ना टाइगर थोड़ा दूर जाके then they kind of वो मतलब बेहोश हो जाते हैं. So इस केस में असर ही नहीं हुआ डार्ट का और what why?
इसके कई रीजन है। एक तो ये है कि सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि जो भी डोज है, जैसे हम लोग भी दवाई खाते हैं, वो बॉडी वेट के ऊपर है। हम
हम्म.
लोग के बॉडी वेट डॉक्टर को पता है, तो डॉक्टर उसी हिसाब से दवाई देता है। या इफ यू हैव अ पेट, यू वुड नो द फर्स्ट थिंग यू विल आस्क अ डॉक्टर, वुड आस्क वेटरनरी, वुड आस्क कि कितने किलो का है।
हम्म.
बट इन द केस ऑफ अ टाइगर, वन हैज टू मेक अ विजुअल एस्टिमेट टू
हाँ.
डिसाइड द डोज।
Kind.
एंड द आर वेटेरिनरियंस कांट ओवरडोज। अगर ओवरडोजेज से कोई जानवर मर जाए, देन इट इज रियली
Yeah.
समथिंग टू बी कंसर्न्ड अबाउट। सो
Right.
वो बड़ा टाइगर था, और जो भी इन्होंने डोज दिया होगा, इट इज क्वाइट पॉसिबल इज दैट आफ्टर द डार्ट हिट हिम, द
हम्म.
डार्ट, पूरी दवाई अंदर नहीं गई, डार्ट गिर गया होगा, या
Maybe.
ऐसी जगह लगा होगा जहां पे पार्शली दवाई गई, तो इट वाज काइंड ऑफ हाफ सीडेटेड, इट वाज प्रीटी अलर्ट टू हैव
हम्म.
अटैक्ड द टाइगर।
हम्म.
बट जो डार्ट लगे भी समय हो गया था, उसको लगे हुए भी आधा घंटा हो गया था, तो वट एवर, मतलब मेडिसिन का जो इफेक्ट है वो थोड़ा बहुत वेयर ऑफ हो गया था। यू आर ओनली टेकिंग अ चांस कि चलो हाफ सेडेटेड होगा, उसको
हम्म.
एक डोज और कर लेंगे, देन वी माइट बी एबल टू कैप्चर इट। बट
Absolutely.
एनीवे, द गुड न्यूज इज दैट इट वाज सब्सिक्वेंटली सीडेटेड
Okay.
सम डेज लेटर, और वो वायर का स्नेयर काट करके उसको ट्रीट करके छोड़ दिया गया था। सो द
Mm.
टाइगर इज स्टिल सेफ, ऐसा नथिंग
Okay.
हैपेंड।
So, after you have spent so many days in the forest, so what has been your what would you say? What is the best part of being an IFS officer, and what is the worst? I won't say worst, but the challenging part to be in forest services.
द गुड पार्ट ऑफ इट इज कि मे बी आई एम एन एक्सेप्शन, हमारे तो मन की नौकरी है,
Hmm.
तो हमको जंगल अच्छे लगते हैं, और हम लोग के रेस्ट हाउसेस दे आर प्रीटी नाइस एंड डीप इनसाइड द फॉरेस्ट।
Hmm.
So also that these rest houses are not accessible to anyone. So somebody who would actually wanted to spend a lot of money might not be able to stay in such guest houses, and they are wonderful places.
Hmm.
कई बार ज्यादातर रेस्ट हाउसेज एटलीस्ट उत्तर प्रदेश में, दे आर ऑल ब्रिटिश लीगेसी,
Hmm.
तो दे आर वेरी नाइसली बिल्ड, अंदर है, एंड बड़ी अच्छा रहता है। दूसरा चीज ये है कि एज अ टूरिस्ट आप लोग रात में नहीं घूम सकते हैं। हम
Hmm.
लोग तो पैदल घूमते हैं रात में, तो हमारी ड्यूटी है।
Right.
एंड द नाइट, इन द नाइट द फॉरेस्ट इज वेरी अलाइव, इट
Hmm.
इज रियली अलाइव। सो अगर आप जस्ट खड़े होके सुने, तो आपको उधर कहीं झिंगुर बोल रहे हैं, कहीं छोटे जानवर बोल रहे हैं, कहीं बड़े जानवर बोल रहे हैं। And you see a lot of voices and the stars, you see so many stars you didn't know। हम
Hmm.
शहर में रहते, कितने तारे भी होते हैं फुल
Right.
अंधेरे में, तो
Hmm.
इट इज अ वेरी गुड फीलिंग। एंड आई पर्सनली फील कि हम जंगल में जाते हैं, तो जैसे फोन रिचार्ज होता है, हम भी अंदर से रिचार्ज हो जाते हैं।
Hmm.
And I don't know, maybe the viewers might also feel the same way. If not, they can try to spend 2 3 days in the forest, and then experience that kind of fresh air, and बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है, the sights of trees and forest, that is one. So as I said, कि my good part is I go to a number of
We
places,
get to live into the wild. Yeah.
और मतलब for what people are spending a lot of money,
You
I
don't
get
have
paid
to.
for it। एंड इफ यू आर ए फोटोग्राफर, देन फिर तो क्या
There
है
is
कि
so,
हाँ, आप घूम रहे हैं, आप फोटो भी खींच रहे हैं, लेकिन आपकी नौकरी भी चल रही है, आपको ऑफिशियल विजिट पे हो, सो इट इज अ प्लस। The
right.
the minus part of it is that now, as the population is growing, there
Hmm.
are a lot of instances of human wildlife conflict। बहुत
Right.
ज्यादा बढ़ रहा है, एंड sometimes it is painful, sometimes it becomes problematic when people say कि ये आप अपने जानवर हटा लीजिए। ये
Hmm.
हमारे जानवर थोड़ी हैं, ये तो गांव वालों के ही जानवर हैं, और
Yeah.
गांव वाले हैं आज की डेट में बढ़ते बढ़ते एनक्रोच करते करते उनके हैबिटेट को ही इनक्रोच कर लिया है। And
Hmm.
that is possibly one of the major reasons why we are having the human wildlife conflict more and more, which are on the rise, is simply because the human population is expanding into their territory। उनके पास virtually कुछ भी नहीं बच रहा है। So that is the
But we don't understand it that way, na? We feel कि we are the superior one, so everything is for us, not for them. So,
So there was one case where leopard, I was posted in CCF wildlife in Gonda. Then there
hmm.
was a leopard which was man-eating.
Hmm.
So there is a difference. Sometimes, you know, you come across a wild animal, कोई खेत में मान लीजिए गन्ना काट रहा है, वहां लेपर्ड बैठा है,
Hmm.
उसने इन डिफेंस अटैक कर दिया। सो दैट लाइक पीपल से मैन ईटर हो गया है, अगर कोई मर जाए तो दे विल से अच्छा ये तो आदमखोर हो गया, बट दैट इज नॉट टेक्निकली करेक्ट।
Hmm.
आदमखोर वो तब होगा जब वो मांस खाएगा
Hmm.
ह्यूमंस का। So this leopard had become Adamkhor. He had become a man eater because he started on the last three kills that it made.
Hmm.
Uh, she had become a man eater. So once that thing was captured and it was taken to the zoo, and you won't believe such a fine specimen, absolutely ekdam normal, ekdam healthy. I still to date do not know why it became a man eater. But since it became a man eater, then there is no
You
other way
had
but to
to
kill it.
shift it, right?
Yeah. So it will spend the rest of its life in the zoo.
Okay, so one more thing, since like I talk to many forest officers, and most of them, whenever I ask them what has changed in you, like your personality after you join the service, because it is different from other services, it's not just like, being a bureaucrat. So most of them say कि it has made us humble, more humble, like we now kind of are grateful for all of these which whatever we have on this planet. So what has changed in your personality after you joined the service?
Uh, I don't, I don't think anything has changed in my personality at all.
Hmm.
And as I said, I wanted to be in the army, which I could not. But
Hmm.
I still feel, I mean, this is the best that I could have got. Or maybe now when I think of it, I
Hmm.
think it is even better than a career in the army.
Right.
बिकॉज आप यहाँ रह करके काफी चीजें आप बदल सकते हैं, और मतलब ये तो है कि बहुत सारी चीजें हमारे बदलने के बियॉन्ड है, लेकिन आप कोशिश कर सकते हैं।
Right.
एंड यू नो इफ यू डू वेल देन देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ चेंज दैट यू कैन मेक, एंड आई हैव सीन दैट हैपन।
Right.
तो मतलब जितनी अपॉर्चुनिटी मुझे यहाँ पर मिली है, शायद किसी और सर्विस में नहीं मिल पाती। सो आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू हैव बीन इन दिस सर्विस, एंड आई हैव नो रिग्रेट्स टू दिस डे दैट आई जॉइंड द फॉरेस्ट सर्विस।
Okay. So, sir, I was going through your body of work, and the most important, or I would say vital work which you did was in that Chambal sanctuary for Gharial conservation, right? So, I wanted to know about it, but in bit detail, like what were the challenges, and also since I think the major challenges was dealing with illegal miners, and plus Chambal area is very infamous for many other things. So did that also came as a challenge, or it was just mining and dealing with other people?
See, the Chambal River is basically a tri-state sanctuary,
Hmm.
so that it's possibly one of the few sanctuaries in the country which are, spread across three states. So this is between the state of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. So in Uttar Pradesh, one part of it falls in Agra,
Hmm.
and one part of it falls in Etawah. After that, the Chambal River merges into the Yamuna.
Okay.
So in the Agra part, there is a lot of there was a lot of illegal mining going on at the time
Hmm.
when I was there. And in the Itawa part, there is more of illegal fishing.
Hmm.
So if you stop illegal fishing, then the size of the fishes they really grow big,
Hmm.
and the size as well as the number. So it is more lucrative for people to come and all the more try to do illegal fishing.
Hmm.
So mining and illegal fishing, I would not say to that extent, but illegal mining per se is a pretty organized sector.
Hmm.
And as you rightly said, in Chambal, it's a pretty dangerous thing to stop them, and you have to make a lot of effort. And obviously, our own staff was very, very vigilant, and we got help from the police whenever we wanted to.
Hmm.
And the best thing that worked was the intelligence thing. So we had a good intelligence network, and people used to call and tell us, यहाँ पर गाड़ी निकली है, वहाँ पर गाड़ी निकली है. So that made our work really easy. And once we started taking strong action and गाड़ी नहीं छोड़ रहे हैं, गाड़ी पकड़ ली तो गाड़ी नहीं छोड़ेंगे, उसको जब्त कर लेंगे. So once like जब ये करना शुरू कर दिया,
Hmm.
तो धीरे 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 वो कम हो गया. आई कांट से कि जीरो हो गया था, बट कम हो गया था.
Right.
तो क्योंकि इफ इलीगल माइनिंग गोज देन यू गेट टू नो ऑफ इट. और दूसरा क्या होता है कि जो घड़ियाल होते हैं, तो घड़ियाल और क्रोकोडाइल, घड़ियाल इज ऑल्सो अ क्रोकोडाइल स्पीशीज. दे आर द लॉन्ग स्नाउटेड वंस.
Yes. Yes. Right.
इनके numbers they had really gone down, and in the year 2006 there were less than 200 breeding individuals in the wild. So they
Right.
were critically endangered, and IUCN, that is, there's a apex body, international body. So
Hmm.
they put it in the critically endangered list.
Hmm.
तो ये इनके जो है जो बिहेवियर उससे डिफरेंट है क्रोकोडाइल से, कि
Hmm.
क्रोकोडाइल जब नेस्टिंग करता है तो फीमेल गार्ड्स इट्स नेस्ट वेरी वेरी फियर्सली, कोई पास आ जाएगा तो उसको दे विल अटैक। बट इन दिस केस घड़ियाल क्या करते हैं कि जहां पर भी अच्छा बिल्ड ऑफ सैंड होगा, जहां
Hmm.
पर भी सैंड की ज्यादा मोटी लेयर होगी, वहां पर ये लोग गड्ढा खोद करके दे ले एग्स, दिस इज समवेयर अराउंड मार्च, एंड
Hmm.
देन दे विल कम बैक ओनली 3 months later in the month of June, when
Hmm.
the hatchling starts coming out. So once the hatchlings come out, then both mother and father will look after them. But
Hmm.
till that particular stage की जहां पर कि आपका अंडा दिया और अंडा हैच हुआ, तो
Hmm.
ये लोग देयर इज नो प्रोटेक्शन पर से, तो अक्सर कुत्ते खोद लेते हैं वहां पर।
Hmm.
और अगर मान लीजिए कि अगर सैंड माइनिंग होगा तो पहली बात तो अंडा देंगे नहीं, नहीं तो नेस्ट डैमेज हो जाएंगे।
Right.
तो जब इसका मतलब दिस इज वन ऑफ द मेजर रीजंस कि वहां पर काफी नेस्ट हुए, और उस साल काफी रिकॉर्ड हैचिंग हुई, मतलब द ईयर आफ्टर आई जॉइंड, रिकॉर्ड हैचिंग ऑफ घड़ियाल्स टुक प्लेस, एंड लॉट ऑफ देम वुड हैव फाउंड देयर वे इनटू द वाइल्ड।
So what's the number now? कोई census हुआ है of the घड़ियाल्स in our
आई वुड
country?
नॉट नो, बट द घड़ियाल्स दे आर ऑन द राइज नाउ, मतलब ऐसा है कि अभी तो एक रीजनेबली अच्छे हो गए, और वंस दे आर इन वन रिवर सिस्टम्स देन दे स्टार्ट आल्सो गेटिंग इनटू द अदर रिवर सिस्टम,
Hmm.
धीरे धीरे। तो अभी तो नंबर्स ठीक है, मतलब उतने क्रिटिकल नहीं है जितने 2006 में थे।
Okay. Now, sir, a very, very layman question. Like, there are many species, okay, in the wild. People are more fascinated towards elephant or say tigers, lions. But then there are many like small, small species like sea cucumber and everything जो ज्यादातर common लोगों को नहीं पता है. And they are endangered. You guys are the forest services and all the wildlife are working towards their conservation. आई वॉन्टेड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि एक एक स्पीशीज के कॉन्जर्वेशन का कितना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस है लाइक राइट नाउ द मेजर पॉपुलेशन डजंट इवन केयर अबाउट इट ठीक है सो व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस एंड हाउ मतलब people can be made aware about that conservation is not limited to tiger although it's important because it's on the top of the food chain but it's important to safeguard each and every species which is there on this earth.
इसमें since it is not possible or practically feasible to save individual species, so
Yeah.
what the strategy is to have some major fauna which
Hmm.
are on the top of the food chain and then protect them. So that
Right.
is why you have Project Tiger. अगर मान लीजिए आपको टाइगर को बचाना है तो आपको जंगल भी बचाने हैं, उसका प्रेबेस भी बचाना है। तो जब आप जंगल बचा रहे हैं, प्रेबेस बचा रहे हैं, तो
Hmm.
ऑटोमेटिकली कई सारे जो छोटे स्पीशीज हैं दे गेट टेकन केयर ऑफ।
Hmm.
उसके अलावा हमारा जो वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट है उसके एंड में देर आर शेड्यूल्स।
Hmm.
तो देर आर डिफरेंट शेड्यूल्स विच डिफाइन द डिग्री ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन दैट स्पीशीज गेट। से फॉर एग्जांपल अगर टाइगर है,
Hmm.
लेपर्ड है, एलिफेंट है, राइनो है, अपना पीकॉक है, दे आर ऑल इन द शेड्यूल वन लिस्ट ऑफ द वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट। दैट मीन्स दे हैव टॉप मोस्ट प्रोटेक्शन, सबसे ज्यादा प्रोटेक्शन है। और अगर कोई इनका शिकार करता है देन ही गेट्स पनिश्ड रियली हार्ड एज
Hmm.
पर द लॉ।
Hmm.
तो इसी तरीके से जैसे कई बार लोगों को जानकारी नहीं होती है कोरल्स के बारे में। फॉर एग्जांपल कोरल्स आर इंडेंजर्ड, सो इफ यू गो टू प्लेसेस लाइक अंडमान और जहाँ पर कोरल्स होते हैं, देन यू आर नॉट सपोज टू कैरी इट बैक और इवन हैव इट एट योर प्लेस।
Hmm.
सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स बीइंग मेड टू मेक पीपल अवेयर कि किस प्रकार से है। और बाय एंड लार्ज अभी सबको ही पता है कि जानवरों का शिकार करना जो है इट माइट लैंड यू इन ट्रबल।
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And sir, also like right now you mentioned the act. Abhi bhi conviction rate in wildlife related crime is very like poor. So according to you, what major change can be adopted to make that number look a little better?
This, I mean, it'll eventually, come for the very simple reason। अभी भी हम लोग को लगता है कि अगर किसी को मान लीजिए हमने अरेस्ट कर लिया, बंद कर दिया, तो
Hmm.
सामने वाले का रिएक्शन, अरे पेड़ ही तो काटा था।
Right.
दैट इज द फर्स्ट रिएक्शन, एंड विच इज अ वेरी वेरी नेचुरल रिएक्शन। आई मीन मे बी अगर
Hmm.
मैं बाहर बैठा हूँ तो मेरे को भी शायद यही लगेगा, ठीक है एक पेड़ ही तो काटा है, तो
Hmm.
वैसे एक हिरन ही तो मारा है, ठीक है हिरन तो ऐसे मिलते, खरगोश ही तो मारा है।
Right.
So धीरे धीरे as the thinking changes and it is already changing and people realize the value of forest and wildlife more and more. So
Hmm.
this change will gradually come and uh, that is the time when the people who are sitting at the top of the affairs and taking decisions कि कितना punishment देना है. So
Hmm.
they also get sensitized slowly and then eventually things will change. पर
Okay.
हमारा कन्विक्शन रेट इसलिए भी कम है क्योंकि जो हम लोग जिस प्रकार के एविडेंसेस प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं उसमें भी कई बार गड़बड़ होता है या बहुत कन्विंसिंग नहीं हो पाता है. सो
Hmm.
देर आर नंबर ऑफ फैक्टर्स विच आर contributing to this particular thing, but by and large I think things are getting better and we'll see more convictions, this I'm very sure of, in the coming times.
Okay. And sir, you mentioned you are also fond of photography. So did you
Yes.
pick it up after joining the service, or it was always going side by side?
No, no, I was very fond of photography from my early days, and I actually won competitions in my university and used to do little bit of photography here
Hmm.
and there. But I just wanted to remind you that in my times we used to use the film for photography, and then you used to have the prints developed, which was a very costly thing. I wouldn't say very costly, but like it wasn't as cheap as the photography that we are doing. Is every time you take a photo, you are able to see what photo you have taken.
Right.
In our times, we you cannot see a photo unless until you have it developed. So
Hmm.
you just take a photo and then you think, okay, ये ठीक है हमारे 35 36 वन वन रोल यूज टू हैव अराउंड 36 पिक्चर्स. तो 36 पिक्चर्स में से तीन चार अच्छे पिक्चर विच आर वेरी गुड क्वालिटी पिक्चर्स अगर निकला है देन इट इज वेरी वर्थ इट. ये काम तो हम पहले भी करते थे.
Hmm.
तो फोटोग्राफी जो हमने यहाँ पर आकर के भी करा, इट वॉज अ ग्रेट अपॉर्चुनिटी. हमारे फोटोज बीबीसी वाइल्ड लाइफ में छपे हैं,
Hmm.
सेंचुरी एशिया में छपे और नेशनल ज्योग्राफिक में छपे हैं.
Okay, that is great. So right now also you do, which camera do you
Yeah, I have a Canon. I have a 100-400 lens.
handle? That's big. मुझे लगता है मेरे
No, sorry, I it is 150-600. I stand corrected. It's a 150-600 lens.
okay, so तो उससे तो बहुत क्लियर पिक्चर आ जाती होंगी आई थिंक इन द वाइल्ड लाइक इट्स अ
हाँ
प्रिटी.
हाँ. Yeah, yeah.
So, what has been your most memorable photography experience in the wildlife? Like one, तो you mentioned, जो tiger was kind of in मतलब below you when you were on the elephant, मतलब trying to click photograph only. But other than that,
Other than that, मतलब ये तो lot of time when you are doing elephant photography. uh, एक बार हम एक कतरनिया घाट में थे एंड वी सॉ अ स्मॉल ग्रुप ऑफ एलिफेंट्स, बेसिकली ओनली फीमेल्स एंड स्मॉल चिल्ड्रन. आई
Mhm.
मीन काफ्स, एलिफेंट काफ्स, छोटे बच्चे थे. तो हम भी जस्ट सडनली रोड पर निकल आए और वो भी हमको देख करके थोड़ा सा अलार्म्ड हो गए, थोड़ा ट्रम्पेट करने लग गया. हमको लगा कि बहुत ही अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. And suddenly we looked back and saw 3-4 tuskers coming pretty fast towards our direction. And these were virtually blocking our way. जितने भी एलिफेंट सामने थे, तो उधर सामने फीमेल एलिफेंट का झुंड है या
Mhm.
बच्चे हैं और पीछे से टस्कर्स आ रहे हैं.
Mhm.
एंड बिकॉज दे हैड रेज्ड एन अलार्म, सो दे वर लाइक रियली कंसर्न.
Mhm.
तो बट एनीवे वी गॉट अ ब्रेक कि जहां से हम साइड से निकल जाए फीमेल एलिफेंट्स के, रोड से उतार करके ड्राइवर ने गाड़ी निकाल ली.
Mhm.
And we didn't look back for a long time. We just kept going. So
Were you
we
able
do.
to take picture?
Hmm?
Were you
Yeah,
able to take picture or no?
I took a picture of the female elephants. So, but nothing special. एक और बार I was walking and it was drizzling very slowly. So obviously I did not take out my camera.
Mhm.
And there was a culvert. So when I was crossing that culvert, I was alone
Mhm.
walking, and I thought something. It just I felt something very strange when I went. So on I walked a little bit ahead और वहां पर ऐसे झाड़ियां थी और झाड़ी के जस्ट अक्रॉस, मतलब रोड के किनारे झाड़ियां थी, झाड़ी के जस्ट अक्रॉस देर वर एटलीस्ट 100 चीतल्स एंड सम वाइल्ड बोर्स. वो सब साथ में ही चल रहे थे एंड आई वांटेड टू टेक अ फोटोग्राफ. So I took some photographs till they ran away, till they realized I was there. And on my way back, I just peeped into the culvert and I saw fresh pug marks.
Oh,
So
oh.
of a tiger. So it is possible that a tiger would have been there, or a lot of people think it is very dangerous to walk in the forest, but I personally feel that it is pretty safe to walk in the forest because the tiger is watching you, but he will never attack you unless until it is
Oh,
intimidated to an extent that it thinks its existence is being threatened. तो वो
right.
अटैक नहीं करते, कोई भी वाइल्ड जानवर नहीं करते, एक्सेप्टिंग वाइल्ड बोर है वन, दैट इज एन एक्सेप्शन.
And for and
टाइगर से
I think bears also sometimes they attack.
बियर या बियर दे अटैक फॉर द वेरी सिंपल रीजन दे आर वेरी शॉर्ट साइटेड.
Hmm.
उनको बहुत कम दिखाई देता है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई unless until you really stumble upon them they don't know that
Hmm.
you are around. And then they have very sharp talons,
Hmm.
नाखून बहुत तेज होते हैं. They can really injure you badly or even kill.
Hmm.
That's it.
So apart from tiger, which is your favorite species?
Uh, uh, that's a very tough question because I do a lot of bird photography, and I think बहुत
Bird.
सुंदर सुंदर बर्ड्स हैं, बहुत ही सुंदर बर्ड्स होते हैं. पीकॉक फॉर वन, इट्स वेरी
Peacock.
कलरफुल.
Okay. So this was Mr. Sujoy Banerjee. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you want to hear more such interesting conversation about the wild, the forest, the wildlife, then please do not forget and subscribe our channel. Also hit the bell icon to get instant updates about any videos that's coming up on our channel. Till then, this is Pallavi signing off. Stay informed, stay curious, and thank you for watching Indian Mastermind.